Welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. This is our match preview for Aston Villa v Chelsea in the fourth round. Is it still replay? We have a view to go in the fifth round where we'll be facing either Leeds or Plymouth. So a great opportunity to try and get into the later stages of the FA Cup. But this week is absolutely massive for Aston Villa's season. This game is big. Opportunity, like I've just said, to go deep in the FA Cup, but Manchester United on Sunday is a whopper of a game. It's absolutely huge. With the chance, with 15 games to go, we are 8 points clear of Manchester United. Win that with 14 games to go, 11 points clear of Manchester United we could go. It's huge just for that. With the games ticking away now, to put that much daylight between us and potentially sixth place is huge. So it's a big week. And I imagine Unai will be setting up this one, a double header with the incentive to go strong and just start gaining some momentum, because I've said it a couple of times now that if we can get some momentum going, a couple of wins in a row now really will get us free flowing, climbing up that table. We're only 5 points off the top. Sky Sports would say otherwise. They would probably say that we are far from it. But, if we were 5 points from the relegation zone, we'd be in the relegation battle. So I'm not sure what changes, but a big week. And I think you'll all agree that it's a big week after a big win. Justin, you were there on Saturday. How was it? What was it like?
Incredible day. First half an hour was just dreamland. You dream of results and games like that, especially away from home. Anybody that's been to an away game knows that the atmosphere is always buzzing in the away end, and it was no different on Saturday night. And it was just incredible to watch. People are saying, "Oh, it was only Sheffield United," but they weren't that long ago. They probably should have beat us at Villa Park. It was only a late goal really that saved us that day, and they did a job on us. They tactically were really good, and we couldn't break them down. So it was so important to get off to a good start. And had Brereton Diaz, that ball which he did just nick under Martinez, but he managed to just scramble it and grab it off the line. Had that gone in, it might have been totally different. An early goal for the home team, the whole, under the lights, but we rode it out, and then afterwards just took total control. And I don't know, it was like you didn't realise what was happening in front of your eyes now when the goals started flying in, and then they just got better and better and better as the goals started going in. And I really love the Tielemans one. Any goal that hits any kind of post and goes in, I don't know what it is. It just seems a better goal, doesn't it? And hit the bar post, bounced up, went in the net, and it was just incredible. 4-0 up, half time, game over. And it was nice to just relax in the second half and enjoy it. But sets us up nicely now. We needed that result. We needed a big result, and that's what we got. Sets us up massively for what is, like you say, rightly so, a huge week for our season. Again, another one.
And I think we've said this, especially I know we've said it numerous times, that it doesn't matter who you play in this league, it always holds its own different sort of permutation going into that game. Even the one we've got coming up against Chelsea, they're in absolute free-for-all. They want the manager out already. They're going to have a big reaction at Villa Park because they've just got battered at home against Wolves. So, every single game that you go into holds its own different meaning. And I think that's, when people go, oh, it's only Sheffield United. But it don't matter, does it? Because we had to win that game, but we didn't have to win it. We had to put in a performance to get everything back on track. So there's so much that goes into each game week that has its own sort of relevance going into each game. So it was just so pleasing, the performance, wasn't it, though? The nature of it, the nature of the goals, that none of the goals were we didn't score a bad goal. Sometimes you could score, look at some of the goals that Liverpool and Arsenal scored yesterday, where it's calamitous defending. All of our goals had so many good aspects of it. The Luiz pass, the Watkins pass to Bailey, the Bailey finish, the ball over for Moreno's volley, Tielemans' strike, all really well-worked goals. And I think, when we're spreading goals across the whole team, which we have done all season, they're all going to gain confidence from that as well. So everybody's performance is elevated because they've all really contributed to the victory, even more so than just being out there and winning the game. So I think it's got to be a sort of the catalyst now that's going to kick on for the next 15 games in the Premier League, and we've probably got more in the Cup, etc. But, there's not that many to go really in the Premier League. And we do have to find this bit of form. And, I know you've spoke to me about the fixtures, that you're looking at the fixtures and you're thinking that we've got some decent ones coming up. So, how do you think we are going into that United one then now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in perception and confidence, two big things. Confidence within the squad, and that would have done it massive boost of confidence to the team to play and win like that. And then perception, what I mean by that is the wider footballing world, what the other teams in the Premier League think of us and what the other fans think of us. And our perception was dropping a little bit because we was getting a few little ropey results and we weren't playing that well. And people started to think, oh, they've been found out, they're going to start dropping. We always knew this was going to happen. We always knew. But now, with that result, it gives us that little boost for everyone else. Think, actually, Villa aren't going to drop away. They are a really good side. They've had a little bit of a wobble, but they're back. They're firing. And so this week really feeds into that. Get through the next round of the Cup and beat Man United at home. And all of a sudden, everybody in that top 4 or 5 that we're battling out with realise that, oh, Christ, Villa are here for the long haul. They're not just some fly-by-nights that have had a decent half a season, they're going to drop away. They are the real deal. And that's how I think we are. I do think we are the real deal. Consistency over 12 months since Emery's come in has proved and pointed to that now. So this week, huge, beat Man United, and I'm not going to say we put them to bed, but it's a huge ask for them to get anywhere near us with winnable games that we've got coming up, and hopefully our form will improve and players are back. So FA Cup, massively important for me still. And we take each game as it comes. And then, like I said a couple of weeks ago, until there comes a point where we have to really think about where do we prioritise as far as when Europe kicks back in again, then we take it very seriously, because there's a huge opportunity now to not only beat Chelsea, but I'm not writing off lower league opposition, because we, to our peril over the last 8 or 9 years, we've not been knocked out plenty of times by lower league teams. But at home against lower league opposition, you'd like to think we'll get through in the next round as well. So if we can nick out Chelsea, who are, since that decent hour they had against us, which is probably, I talked to the Chelsea fancast, and I've been talking to them since, and Saturday I'm on again tonight about the preview for them. That is still, for them, the best hour they've seen out of Chelsea this season against us. So that just shows you that how good they were that day. But since then, their form has dropped off a cliff. They conceded 8 goals in 2 games. They're in disarray. I wouldn't be surprised if we knocked them out on Wednesday night to see Pochettino go. That is the level of discontent now amongst their fan base. So it's a massive opportunity Wednesday. We owe Man United one on Sunday as well. So I think the lads, 2 home games, they'll be absolutely licking their lips for the week to come, coming off the back of that result on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think now, I think we've used this phrase a couple of times already, business end of the season. When you get to that business end of the season, we can't now start turning our nose up at any trophy now.
No.
I think when you see the draw in January, the first fixtures come out, and you're like, okay, Middlesbrough, it's still far away, isn't it, mate? It's far away in January to May, and you start thinking, there's a lot of football, but we're in February now, and we've got this replay. We now know who we're potentially playing at the end of February. It starts opening it up a little bit. You then get into the quarters, and you're right at that end of that tournament then. So I'm really looking forward to it. Like you say, I think we've got to take it serious. I think we have to now. And when I was reading my history book, there's what I'm getting every time we've won the FA Cup, we've had a replay in there, so we're even getting that in there now. So hopefully, 2024, we're gonna lift this FA Cup. So yeah, buzzing about it. So Chelsea then, Justin. I mean, I know you talk to the Chelsea Fancast lads quite a lot, but what is going on there? I mean, I can't get my head around what is actually going on, because last season they had a poor season, pretty much finished mid-table, brought Pochettino in, and they're in the same place. They're literally in the same place. And I think, to look at it now and think, Pochettino, I'm like, surely you got to see a bit more from Pochettino. Like, yes, it's not his squad. Yes, they've bought loads of players, but you've got to get more out of it than what he is now. Surely, even I could probably understand a little bit of discontent from Chelsea fans, because there's been no progress whatsoever. And I think that's the biggest thing. A top coach surely should be getting a better tune out of that team. And they've got some good players. Like they've got a good foundation there to have a good team. The keeper's decent. Thiago Silva's decent. They've got a great defensive midfielder in Caicedo. Lavia,
Enzo
if he's
Fernandez.
fit. Jackson up top. I mean,
100 million,
I don't rate him that much, but these are half decent players. The midfielders that aren't even, at that price tag, like the Conor Gallagher's, Chilwell, James, Mudryk. These aren't bad players, and for them to be where they are, I think the club's a mess. I think I really do. I think it's so disjointed. It's unbelievable there. And I look at this game and I think they're going to need a reaction, but I don't think they've got that core depth, Chelsea, to sort of stick their chests out. And when it's going a bit bad, it just feels like all these young players that have come in are trying to impress for themselves, but where's the leader? And I think that's the big problem with Chelsea. I think they're just a mess. And I can't see it getting much better either, can you?
Not really. I did think over time that Pochettino would be able to sort it out, but I think it goes deeper than I think it's going to take a long time to sort them out. The ownership, I think, is a huge problem for them. That they had to sell. He had to get rid of the club, didn't he? And Bowley come in, and he looks utterly clueless. From the outside looking in, he looks utterly clueless. It's just like a scattergun. Let's just throw as much money at it as we possibly can, and then eventually we'll hit a decent first 11. But it hasn't worked for them, and now they are on the verge of hitting some really big FFP and P&L sanctions now. So they're looking now down the barrel of selling a lot of. I think I've read they've got to raise at least 120 million pounds worth of sales by June. So when you think the season finishes in May, they've basically got a fire sale on their hands in the summer, and they've got to get money in very quickly. And now that is common knowledge. Who on earth is going to go and pay them top money for their players, knowing that they've got to sell them? So if you wanted a Conor Gallagher in January, they should have sold him for whatever they could have got for him. Because if in the summer, if they wanted 80 million for him, clubs are going to say, I'm not going to give you 80 million, I'll give you 30, I'll give you 40, because you're desperate. And they'll have to sell him. So it is an utter mess from top to bottom. I know the lads on the Fancast are just tearing their hair out, with how it is. They really thought Pochettino could come in and do a job. They watched how he did with Spurs, Champions League final. He went to PSG. It's almost impossible not to succeed at PSG, but he did okay there. But he doesn't seem to have. I don't know. He hasn't managed to gel all the big personalities and the big price tags and everything that's been thrown at him. And they've got a huge squad of players. They've got youth team players trying to push for games, which they're not getting game time. They've got players on ridiculous contracts. They've got players that have spent ridiculous amounts of money for, and it hasn't worked. Mudryk, Fernandez, like you said, that you could list them out for 20 minutes and not get anywhere near the end of their squad list. They've got about 100 players out on loan. It's just a mess. It almost needs just ripping apart and starting again from scratch with somebody there, which they tried to do with Potter. I think that's what they had a long-term vision with Potter, but he couldn't get results on the pitch, which led to his demise, and that's what's going to do for Pochettino. The results aren't good enough to allow him that time to get them going again. And my worry with them is, and was when we played in the first game, is because they have got such good players that they're literally, you don't know what you're going to get out of them game to game, do you? I mean, I watched them yesterday and they got absolutely destroyed by Neto and Cunha. You know, if Bailey and Watkins are anything like they were on Saturday with what we're feeding them, we should rip them apart and we should go for them from the first whistle because they are going to be, you know, we cannot allow them to get a foothold in this game. We just can't. We've got to go for them. And I think we could take them to the cleaners again. Again, I think they could be looking down the barrel of another heavy defeat if we start well on the front foot and get an early goal. So, yeah, I don't know what the answer is to them. I fear it's going to be another management change. And as I say, this fire sale in the summer, I think Chelsea could, depending on what sanctions they get hit by, they could be in big trouble for 4 or 5 seasons at least to come.
Yeah, and with that fire sale, the fans must be like tearing the hair out that there's no connection with the players because they're all surplus to requirements. You know,
they're all
they need
available, aren't they?
That's what I mean. They need a striker, and they've let Brozier go on loan because they've got a bit of a loan fee. Conor Gallagher's currently the captain. They'll let him go if someone bids for the money. So, as a fan base, you have to build a connection with the fans because that's what Villa have got. We've got such a great affinity with our players that we've been on this journey with, like Tyrone Mings, Buendia, Douglas Luiz, Watkins now, Martinez. And that all builds that connection. But with Chelsea, it just feels like it's so discontent from fans to board, from board to players. It just feels like a big mess, to be fair. And I think, like you say, it's going to take a long time for them to get it sorted out. So one interesting thing that Sky said on the game against Sheffield United is that 5th place has a 77% chance of getting Champions League football in England. So that's quite big news for Villa, isn't it, really? If we can, that gives us like a bigger opportunity and doesn't just pin it straight down on 4th place. So it just highlights the importance of especially that game on Sunday, and I'm excited. And I think I said on the match reaction that I actually feel like now that Newcastle defeat probably was a blessing, that it's resettled us and sort of realigned the objective. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I think you have to look at it like that because none of them would have wanted that result, but I think having had it happen to us, you have to look at it as okay. Let's use that now to power us forward in the next 5-6 games. Let's use that experience. No, none of them would have liked going back in the dressing room after the game. They're used to not losing at home. It wouldn't have been a nice experience. The manager would have been annoyed. He would have, if he looks in fine detail at every single blade of grass in every game anyway. So you can imagine his thoughts the next 2, 3, 4 days after that. So yeah, it has to be used as a tool to push us on and make sure it doesn't happen again. I mean, it's not going to say we're not going to lose again, but we don't want to lose in that manner again, do we? We wasn't on it, we wasn't switched on. At 3-1, had we got that second, I still think we could have got something out of the game, which would have been a positive. So we are good enough not to get results like that now, and I think they've got to use it now to their advantage and make sure we don't do it again. And I think that's what will happen. Look at the reaction on Saturday. They were focused and on it pretty much from the first whistle. So that has to be this week's 2 home games under the lights at Villa Park. They couldn't ask for a better week, really, with 2 big games. A bit like the City and Arsenal game when we had those earlier in the season. We've got Chelsea, Man United now. Probably 2 teams not as good as Arsenal and City. Yet we used those 2 games massively. I know somebody that knew somebody that was in the dressing room pre-City game, and he said the news coming out was that he'd never heard a pre-match team talk like it off Unai Emery. They said they were ready to run. Literally, they didn't need to open the door; they'd have ran through them to get on the pitch. So I think one of them's incoming on Wednesday night. Another motivational masterclass before the game. So looking forward to it.
Me too, me too. And we'll end it there then. We'll have predicted lineup out tomorrow. And then we'll build our content up towards Manchester United. Justin, score prediction time. I'm going to go. Oh, I see us winning. But I see some goals for us as well. I'm going to say 3-1 Villa. What would you go with?
I'm kicking myself because the pre-Sheffield United, I watched it back and I said I thought we could take them to the cleaners, and I went with the 2-0. I said to people, the chap in front of me, and I know him really well, Bob, and he said before the game, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think we're going to win 5-1." And I said to my brother-in-law, 5-1. So when they got that one, I thought, bloody hell, we should have had a bet on that. So I do think we're going to beat them comfortably. I hope I'm right. 3-0.
Yeah, I hope the crowd's up for it.
Yeah.
Because I felt it was a bit flat last week against Newcastle.
Yeah.
Just didn't.
The club are doing their best, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, this lighting thing is good, and you know, it's good, but you know, without, and I'm not digging out Villa fans because I've been to loads of away games like you have, and generally every single home crowd is the same. It's very hard to get 30, 40, 50, 60,000 fans up for it. It's very easy to get 3, 4, 5,000 hardcore fans, which they normally are that go away, to be buzzing. Plus, you've got away. It's a full day thing. Everyone's had a bit of a drink. Great. You don't get. It's more family orientated at Villa Park, so I do get. It's very difficult to create that buzzing, constant atmosphere of singing and singing. So we're not the only club to do it, but there must be a way of trying to enhance that atmosphere. And good starts, good early goals under the lights. That's normally the best way of getting the best atmosphere. So hopefully that'll happen on Wednesday. Early goal, everyone will be buzzing, and the game will just take care of itself. Hopefully.
Yeah, we just need this cauldron of noise to arrive because it makes a big difference. It's intimidating. And you go back to the City game, the atmosphere is fantastic. So it does make a big, big difference. So yeah,
we need to practice for the Champions League next season, you see, to get that cauldron of noise going.
Definitely. Right, cool. So we'll be back tomorrow for the predicted lineup. Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.